I was just wondering how many of you have received a phone call from your parent, friend, or sibling, and before the conversation ends, you already know what they want to talk about. Maybe they want to ask you for money. Maybe they want to ask you for a favor. And all of a sudden, you're transported back to your childhood self, the little 12-year-old who has been put into a role. Either you were the reliable one, the one that mom and dad always counted on to do things and to keep quiet and just do what you're told. And maybe you were the high achiever. Maybe you were the funny one. Maybe you were the one that was asked to fix everything. And I want to talk to you today about how these childhood roles that we were put into affect many of the decisions that we make in life as adults, and how that's making us feel exhausted as many of us Gen Xers are heading into our 50s. I think a lot of us can relate to being assigned a role by our parents when we were younger. And maybe you were the one that was always counted upon to take care of things, to be the responsible one, right? Because maybe your siblings weren't able to handle the tasks. And it's a role that I think that was thrust upon a lot of us that didn't make a lot of us very happy. But we did it because it was a way for us to feel, I guess, get a sense of approval from our parents. And many times, at least for me, that approval that I was seeking was never given to me. And I think it was always used as a tool to keep me in check and to kind of, I guess, how should I say, withdraw their emotional love from me to keep me in line. And I think many of us weren't very happy with our childhood roles, but we wanted to do it because, which child does not want to be, seek the approval of their parents? But I think it had a very negative effect on many of us because it shaped many of the, I guess, the decisions that we made as adults. And probably a lot of times, I think for me, it made me very much a people pleaser. And I ended up putting, other people's needs before my needs. And if I guess, disagreed or decided not to put other people's needs first, I was often referred as selfish. And this is what my parents often referred to me as when I pushed back on what they wanted. If I wanted to follow my dreams, my parents would always say, "You're so selfish, you always think about myself." And so there I was. I thought I was selfish and ended up being the ultimate people pleaser. Now, does that sound like many of you? The one that takes the brunt of everything, the one where the boss shoves all the work onto you because you're the one that will get things done, even though your coworker who maybe does, half the work will get the same pay as you. It's things like this that I think a lot of us have encountered. So you end up becoming the friend, the son, the daughter, who everyone calls and is expected to drop everything to take care of their needs. So why do we keep on doing this as adults? Well, like I said before, it's, wanting and seeking approval. And who doesn't want that? I mean, it's just human nature. I mean, I remember, being shunned by other kids and the emotional hurt that it caused, right? So I think it's easy why, we would keep these patterns from childhood into our adult years. But I now think many of us Gen Xers who are in our 50s now are looking for more peace and less drama in our lives. So we're starting to ask ourselves, why are we doing this, and what are we getting out of this whole thing? Because I think one of the questions we have to ask is, are we going to start living our life or living the life of others and what they want from us? And I think that's a question that many of us are starting to ask ourselves. And I mean, many of us, I think it's time for many of us to just stop feeling guilty and just say no, and not having to explain our reasons on why we're saying no. And the thing is, no one ever bothers to ask how we are doing or how we're feeling. And I think a lot of us, when we do say yes, we often regret it because we feel like we're being taken advantage of. The thing that bothers me is, when we do all this stuff for others, nobody bothers to ask how we're feeling or how we're doing. And it's no wonder why so many of us Gen Xers feel so emotionally exhausted now, because we spent our time taking care of others through most of our lives. And I think it's time for us to stop always just giving our time so freely to others, because many of us are seeking that approval, and that approval is not, probably never going to come. And we need to stop, in my opinion, to stop chasing that. I think one of the things that hit me hard was, I don't know if you guys seen the movie Rocket Man on Elton John. And there was a scene in there where he's already famous, a big rock star, and he goes to his dad's house, his estranged dad. His dad's got a new family, new kids. And so he was going there hoping that he would hear something from his dad to say something like, he's proud of him for making it as a star. But his dad kind of treated him like a celebrity and just wanted some records signed. So, despite all the money he had and all the fame and accolades, he still was seeking approval from his father for to tell him that he was a success. And I think when I saw that scene, there was so many things in there that resonated with me. It hit me hard. So I'm thinking that probably you guys felt the same. If you haven't had a chance, check it out, because you'll know what I mean. And I know just from my own personal life, just the inability to say no at times made me unhappy, because I felt like at times I was taken advantage of. And there was one time I had a friend, well, kind of ex-friend, and I've always helped him out all the time. And he, I would give him like equipment for his martial arts club, free, which I could have sold, good used equipment. And one day he phoned me up when he needs something, and he said that he wanted to take jujitsu lessons. And I said to him, well, okay. And this was just after COVID, so all of us been shut down. We were all financially stressed. And I said to him, well, okay, well, it's going to cost this much. And he goes, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, you got to have to pay. And he goes, oh. And I knew what he was leading to, right? He wanted free lessons and a free ride. And he said, I'll think about it. So I got a phone call about a week later from a friend of mine, and he said that such and such, this friend was upset with me because I want to make him pay. And he said, well, you should pay because he's got a business to run. I said, I agree. I've need to eat as well. And so he didn't quite understand this. So I parted and never called him again. And the thing about it is, I've usually used to feel guilty about it, but I felt proud of myself and I felt no guilt at all. And I think it was the first time that I finally started to really draw the lines and start to set up boundaries on what was acceptable in my life. And it's not to go to say that I don't help people. I'm still very generous with my time, but I got to make sure that I'm happy and that my time is respected as well. I mean, one of the best things I do now is just to tell people, hey, let me think about it, and I'll get back to you, because that way I get to have a little bit of space and not feel so pressured or obligated to give the person an answer right away. And I think that was a great start for me to start doing that. And definitely my life has gotten a lot more peaceful and less stressful since I started doing it. And I think for a lot of those who are out there struggling with the same thing, well, give it a try. I can only say what works for me. Everyone's a little bit different. So my question to you is, what role did you play as a child, and how has it affected you as an adult? I'd love to hear from you. Please feel free to comment below. I try to read every comment. And if you like the channel and you love this video and it resonated with you, please feel free to like, share, or subscribe, and check out my next video. All right, take care, and I'll see you next time.